Today we are talking about food. Here we go. Hi, I'm Jessica Ballant, a physical therapist and Pilates teacher, and I want to bring science-based knowledge, empathy, courage, support, love, and hopefully some fun to the journeys we have with our bodies. There is hope and strength in your body, and my goal is to help you find it. Well, hi, and welcome back to Meet Your Body. I am so happy to have you here. We are talking about food today, and I have to give you the context about why I am doing an episode about this. One of the most common questions that I get across my platforms and in messages is about what I eat. And I don't talk about what I eat usually, actually. And there's a few reasons for it. One, you all know, and if you don't, I will tell you right now, I am not a registered dietitian. I am not a nutritionist. I do not have any formal training in food whatsoever. So it's important that you know that. So that's one thing. That's one reason I don't necessarily talk about it. Another reason is because I don't ever want anyone out there, I don't ever want you listening to think that you need to aim for what I eat. And I feel like that's a really big thing that comes up, especially on social media with women particularly, showing what they eat. So people who are influencers in any way, shape, or form, people who are in the fitness industry, anything like that. Just by showing what they're eating, it's kind of assumed the person watching would think, oh, if I eat that, then I'll look that way also. And I feel very strongly about not ever giving that impression. I would never, ever promise you that by eating this, you're going to feel this way. By eating this, you're going to look this way. And so I tend to be really careful about that simply because, like I said, I don't ever want you to think that that is a claim I am making whatsoever. That being said, I like to know what people eat as well. Eating is an important part of our day. And I like the science behind it, but also people who I trust, people who I follow, I like to know what they're eating. I get ideas about what they're eating. It's helpful to me. So I thought I would do a podcast episode about food, about my thoughts on food, my relationship with food. And simply know, please, that this is just me telling you my history and my relationship with food. I will put it out there and you can take from it what you will. So if I go back, so as you all know, I'm 46 years old. So I grew up very much in the time of Slim Fast Shakes, Special K, all of those ideas that you cut calories. I saw the females in my life dieting all the time. Also, it was the time of convenience. I mean, we were busy. My parents both worked full time. And I will say my mom, we had a family meal every single night. She would come home from work and make us food. And a lot of times we would get takeout because that's what had to happen on a busy night. But we always sat down and ate a meal. And so I definitely want to say that because that is important to me. And it was an important part of growing up. But what we were eating, I wasn't really taught, the importance of a vegetable, the importance of protein. I mean, we had those little white powdered donuts every weekend, which are delicious. We had a lot of fast food. We had a lot of soda. So I didn't necessarily learn, I guess, the fuel of food, like what it does for us. But I think a lot of us back in that generation didn't. So when I went to college, it was kind of a free-for-all. I mean, I had, a budget to spend at the dorm and the food. I remember just getting whatever sounded good. I mean, it was just amazing to me that I could have whatever I wanted. I would get sandwiches and dip them in ranch because that sounded amazing and someone else was doing it. And again, I think I had salads sometimes, but I don't necessarily remember having a conscious kind of awareness of it. I mean, we would have dinner at 5 or 5:30 and we would order pizza at 9 o'clock at night. That was very regular occasion. That was very normal. And all along this, I will say also, I was very active. I was naturally thin, so I didn't think twice about any of that. Then to continue that, I went to physical therapy school. And so when I was around probably 20, I was continuing to eat and probably eating even kind of worse food habits as I was in PT school and busy and in grad school and all of that and holding down jobs. And all of a sudden, I did start putting on weight. And I say that just to let you know that I started to finally have some awareness of what I was putting in my body and the effects that it was having, because I really didn't until that time. So my very, very early 20s, like I was probably around 20 years old. And I remember specifically looking at the back of a Kraft macaroni and cheese box. That's what I'm trying to say to you. I remember looking at the back thinking, oh, a single serving isn't the whole box. I mean, very much I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't eat the whole box. I didn't know. I just thought that was the serving size. So I started to teach myself about serving sizes. I was living alone in an apartment. I really started to learn because I did like to cook and I wanted to have that independence. So it was helpful in that way. I don't think I went necessarily overboard at that time, like focusing on calories and all of that. It just was this awareness of serving size. And then I started going to the gym more. Again, I was in physical therapy school. I wanted to learn. I started to learn about protein powders. It was the very kind of beginning of that. I think I did some kind of fitness competition. I mean, like very much just in my living room. I did not do anything other than take some before and after pictures, which didn't do anything to help me, by the way, but I remember doing them. So again, I just started to have that awareness of, oh, the food I put in my body, there's calories associated with that. There's fat and protein associated with that. So how can I play around with that to lose this weight that has come on that never has before in my life? Like that was the time that now I'm not even going to remember the name of the diet. South Beach diet had come out. And then the other one, it wasn't keto yet, but gosh, I should have looked it up. I don't remember the name of it, but where you only ate fat and meat, basically. Like I did all those. I tried them all just to see what happened. I didn't do well on that one, by the way. I dreamt about cereal. So that's what was happening there. I was having some awareness of food and what it does, calories in, losing weight, all of those. I had awareness of serving size, but that's about as far as it went. Then my next kind of lesson was I went through a very, very stressful time in my life, the most stressful time of my entire life. And I did not eat very much. My reaction to being that stressed was to not eat very much. And I remember my hair starting to fall out and thinking, okay, and if you've heard my chronic stress episode, you've heard me talk about that. But the idea that I was stressing myself and not eating to the point of that happening was my next awareness of, oh, I need to eat, right? Like, okay, yeah, there's serving size, but also food maybe is valuable. So I can't do that again. So all these lessons were just coming along. And then I was diagnosed with endometriosis after my first surgery for that in 2005. And I woke up from surgery and was told, this will never go away. We did what we could. You're going to have to manage it and you might not be able to have kids. And that changed my entire life because I suddenly realized that I needed to manage something and take care of this body. Like I needed to find tools to long-term take care of myself, and I wanted to have kids more than anything in the world, and that became my driver, was taking care of this body that felt so out of control. And food was a huge part of that. It kind of was 3 categories to me. It was movement, and that's where Pilates became the cornerstone of everything for me. So it was movement and stress, and then food with supplements. Those are the things. And so I dove deep into learning about what food does. Like it was the first time in my life that I really had this understanding that, oh gosh, I'm not just eating for burning the calories, right? I'm not just eating for, oh, I'll work out harder the next day to burn it off. It wasn't just a calorie thing. Or even just, oh, that tastes good, I'm going to have it. It was, okay, food can heal me. I'm pretty sure food can heal and harm. And how can I use it in this really new, scary world that I'm in with this chronic condition? And so, like I said, I did a lot of research and I dove into a yeast-free diet. I did that for a little while, kind of an anti-allergy diet. And coming out of that, I went gluten-free. And I would say I was pretty much 100% gluten-free for a while. And I noticed huge changes in my endometriosis symptoms. Now, please do not hear me saying everyone should go gluten-free. I don't believe that. I don't think everyone needs to. I do not think gluten is the enemy. I do think with autoimmune issues and chronic inflammation in your body, like what I have, gluten can cause some issues. And the research backs me up. I'm not just telling you that for me. Research backs me up on that. So me going gluten-free was huge. All right. But let me tell you what it did do. It put me into a chronic state of being afraid to eat. I didn't want to go out to eat because I didn't know what I would order. I didn't want to go to people's houses because I didn't know what I could eat. I was so hyper aware. Like I had gone from no awareness to like hyper aware of what I was eating and how I was going to feel, which is understandable. If you've been through chronic pain and chronic issues, that's understandable. And also, I'm not going to talk about eating disorders here today, but I'm not going to just gloss over that either. I truly believe in our society, it is almost impossible to not have some sort of disordered relationship with eating, with the images we see and the marketing we've been told and the diets and the fat phobia and all of it. It is so hard to come away with that, with a healthy relationship with food. So that was like underlying all of this, I know was that a little bit. It's just for me, it appeared different than it does for other people. So I think we all need to look really closely at like what that looks like for us. So for me, that's what I believe it was. It went very much like to that hyper awareness, but not from a calorie or weight gain standpoint. For me, it was how's that going to make me feel? How's it going to make me feel? And I remember a moment, we had moved to Hawaii and I was feeling better. I mean, it's understandable if you're hyper aware, if you're suddenly feeling better. But I remember, gosh, just not enjoying going out to eat because I just was like, I don't even want to look at the menu. What am I going to have? And something happened that I had looked at a menu ahead of time. And I said, oh, there's 3 things here I can eat, or that I would eat at the time. And it like gave me freedom because I said, oh, I can go out. I don't care if I have a lot of choices. I just want to be with my friends, or I just want to be with my husband. I want to have a cocktail. And that's something with some protein that I can eat, and I can get the sauce on the side. And it changed everything for me because what I did was I found strategies, like all the restaurants that we would frequent. I knew 2 or 3 things that I would eat at each one. And I became not afraid to ask for sauce on the side, ask for no garlic, all the things I needed to ask for. And that was a big eye opener for me. And I know it sounds kind of silly, but it really was because it gave me freedom to enjoy the things I liked about going out, which personally was social, being with friends, being with people I love, having a cocktail, and having just something to eat, just knowing I could eat. I didn't want to like not eat and go home and eat. I'm like, great, I can have something to eat. And so that started to actually give me some freedom in this idea that it was becoming more of a lifestyle, that it wasn't holding me prisoner. My eating type wasn't holding me prisoner. I hope that makes sense. But that really started to help me a lot. And then I cooked at home a lot. So that is something else. For me, cooking at home and being in charge of the ingredients helped quite a bit. And I finally was starting to really get into, okay, what are some lifelong strategies here that I can use? For me personally, when I say going gluten-free, at that time, they did not just have gluten-free products. So I had to research everything. I mean, you couldn't find gluten-free bread. I had to make it myself. But what I've found over time that I stay that way. So you'll see in Unlimited, if you're in my Unlimited community, you'll see pancakes that I make. And I don't make it with gluten-free flour. I make it with almond flour, which is naturally gluten-free. Or I make it with bananas and eggs and throw some cassava in it. I use things that are naturally gluten-free. That works better for me. So I've found a lot of strategies to help myself in that way. And so that was right before having kids. And then I found that during that time, because I had been gluten-free for a couple years, I had reset my system. So I was able to introduce some gluten back in. And I am this way to this day now. I'd say I'm about 80% gluten-free. And the rest of the time, I don't worry about it. So like the other night, somebody had pizza and it was the only thing there. I can have a piece of pizza and be fine. I don't have 3 or 4, but I can have one and be totally fine. And then I'll fill it out with, some protein and vegetables or something like that. But the freedom that I have now to make choices is such a better place for me than when I was really hyper aware of everything I was having. And it does take time to get there. I mean, if you're newly diagnosed and you are experimenting with new ways of eating, it takes time. It's very front of brain when you start. I mean, I can't even tell you how much I thought about it and read every label at the store. And I mean, it was all consuming. But when you get past that part and you find the brands that you love that work for you, and you find the ingredients you love that work for you, and you're not afraid to, like I said, order at the restaurant. I mean, to be honest, I order off the kids' menu a lot because there's no sauces and no sneaky things. And I'm just not afraid to eat super plain like that. I'm not a foodie by any means. So as long as I get the fuel I need, and again, I social with people I love, then I'm usually good with that. But once you get past some of that and you build some habits, it becomes much easier. At least it has for me. So that has kind of been my journey with food. At this point, again, we cook almost everything at home. And it's not because, believe me, I am not all high and mighty. I am not a foodie. I do not look up recipes. I do it, 1, for finances because it saves money, and 2, because I can just control the ingredients and get what I like. I mean, basically, that's why I do it. And then maybe you'll eat out or bring taken in once or twice a week. And that's mostly my decision. I think my family would love to eat out a lot more, but that's pretty much what we do. But I do home cook almost everything, but it's real plain and it's really simple. And at this point, I focus a lot on protein, because I've never gotten enough, I know. And as you've heard me talk about perimenopause and lifting weights, it's so important to eat protein. So I've tried to focus on that, and lots of vegetables. But let me tell you what I had today, because sometimes you just get busy. So this morning I had to eat in the car. So I had plain yogurt with blueberries, with some almonds, with some almond butter, and a little bit of grain-free granola. So I had the protein, I had fiber, and then some healthy fat with it. Is that my favorite meal in the world? No. I like yogurt fine. I don't love it. But again, at this point, I believe in fueling my body in the time that I have. And this season of life is very chaotic. So that was my breakfast. And then I had an apple at about 11:30. And then I didn't eat again until 3. Was that good? No, it was not good. And I did not feel good, but I was in the car and extra things happened and I didn't have a bar with me, which I should. And so at that point, I had a grain-free tortilla with black beans because I was back home. So I had it with black beans, a little cheese, 2 eggs, and hot sauce. And a coffee. And it was delicious. And let me tell you why I did that, because I know my body. I love eggs. And when I need fuel like that, eggs are a great source of protein. I know. I like them with cheese. I like salt. And it will fill me up. The apple earlier in the day at least gave me fiber. So you'll see I have not had a vegetable yet today. And that is something that's not good, but also I've learned not to stress about. Oh, no, that's not true. I grabbed a couple carrots because I keep carrots in the fridge at all time. So I think of it more as balancing out. Like, can I balance out the day? I was getting myself really kind of, I guess, to that hyper aware point again when it comes to vegetables and fruits at every single meal. And it was starting to get just a lot for my brain. And so I actually heard a nutritionist talk about just balance it throughout the day. Like, make sure you're getting fiber throughout the day. If you don't get it at every meal, that's okay. What can you add? Like, I had the blueberries this morning. Fruit can be just as good as vegetables. And then I'll have a big salad tonight with, I think we're grilling burgers. So I'll have a burger and a salad tonight. So that has helped me to think about balancing it. And so that's kind of where I am now. Like I said, I'm not a foodie, so I'll never be showing you fancy food. I eat what is close and what's convenient, but I am particular about ingredients and what I'm putting in my body. But again, that's about 80% of the time. And the other 20% of the time, I'm going to eat the chocolate covered pretzels from Trader Joe's that I keep in my desk drawer at all times. I am going to eat the really good bread that they put down at a restaurant. If they happen to do it, I'm going to have a piece before I eat everything else. So I'm going to use that 20% because I've reset my system so that my baseline is at a point I can handle that 20%. And I really do choose food now based on how it's going to make me feel, because that's what's most important to me. And sometimes when I look at how it's going to make me feel, I do look at how's this going to make me feel emotionally. Like I said, if I want to go out and celebrate and have a glass of champagne, I surely will. I love champagne. I love it. I cannot overemphasize how much I love having a glass of bubbly and cheering and celebrating with someone. I also know at this point that if I have two, I will pass the point of enjoying it and wish I hadn't had it. And so I know that I am going to, again, how does food make me feel? Whether it's mental or physical, that's what I'm going to look at. And that's what I'm going to remember to kind of help incorporate next time. And if you wonder about what I track, honestly, not much. I don't count calories. I don't track macros. I honestly don't even know how to track macros. I probably could learn, but I don't. But when I first started this whole journey, like I said, I was very hyper aware of gluten and the allergens I could have been putting in my body after my first surgery. A while before that, when I went through kind of that competition before after phase, I was very hyper aware of calories and counting them out. Each of those phases has helped me in life. Okay, counting at that point and learning about calories and learning about what a portion size was, that was helpful to me. But staying there is not. Staying there was never helpful to me. It was helpful to me to learn, like I was in a class. I'm going to learn this because I am in, this is food 101. So I'm going to learn. But I couldn't stay there. And same with the really hyper aware about gluten. I couldn't stay there. But I had to learn, but I can't stay there. And so I don't track things now. If I track anything, it's going to be protein. But again, it's because now I'm kind of in protein 101 phase again. I need to learn because I realize I'm not getting enough, but I don't quite know what enough looks like. So I have spent some days counting out my protein simply to learn again. So what you need to do if you find yourself like me and you can become very hyper aware, hyper focused on those things, think of it as an experiment. Think of it as just curiosity and learning, and kind of get in and get out. I'm going to learn it, and then I'm going to get out and not focus on it. And then I guess the final thing I'll touch on is intermittent fasting, just because so many people ask about that. No, I don't do it. No, I try not to put too many boundaries on myself or rules, except for, again, how it makes me feel. I have a boundary or rule about gluten because it makes me sick. I have a boundary or rule about garlic because I'm allergic and it makes me really sick too. So that's the only place I really try to put those. I think otherwise that for me, it doesn't work to put rules around it. In general, we are usually done eating by 6:30 or 7 at night every night. With the kids especially, we're just done eating. And then I don't eat until the morning or a little bit later in the morning. So in general, I do have that time of digestive fasting overnight, which I do see for science that it can be helpful to keep your stomach empty for a certain amount of time overnight to let yourself have a digestive rest. But when it comes to intermittent fasting itself as a health tool, no, I don't necessarily use that for myself. All right, sorry, that was a little one who came down and found me and was coughing in the background. So overall, that, again, it just gives you an idea of kind of how I eat. I try really hard to focus on how food makes me feel, on getting protein, on getting lots of fiber through fruits and vegetables, and then eating what I like. I mean, life's too short to not eat what you like. But for me, a big part of what I like is how food makes me feel. So I have found a really good place to be with that after kind of years of trial and error and figuring it out. And that's what it takes sometimes. But just remember, it is an ongoing journey, and it's one that's worth being on, because I do truly believe that food has the power to make us feel better, and it has the power to make us feel worse. So we need to really look at how we're using it. I also focus on eating, and I know that might sound a little funny, but I feel like, again, in our society, we have these ideas that we need to always eat less, fewer calories, fewer everything. Food is fuel. We need to eat. We need to fuel our bodies. So let me be the encouragement to you to do that. Fuel your body with food. Remember, we do need food to be here, to be able to lift and move and laugh and dance and hike and all the things. Food helps us do that. And so try to get away from that idea of good and bad foods, and think more about just what works for you. What works for you and your lifestyle and your body and your experience and your health history and your lifestyle. How can you use food as fuel with your beautiful and wonderful history? And how can it then empower you to feel as strong as possible? And actually, there is one more thing that I want to say, is this idea. It was brought to me years and years ago, and I've never forgotten it. This idea that we do vote with our choices and with our dollars, meaning what type of food you purchase does make a difference. And I do try to keep that in mind. And it isn't always possible for all of us. It isn't always accessible. But if you have the ability to choose foods that have been grown with care, have been grown in small farms, if you have that ability to choose food that comes from a place that helps the earth be more sustainable, that comes from workers who are being supported in their environment, I do believe that makes a difference. And again, when it was kind of brought to me with that idea of you are making a vote with how you spend your money, meaning I am voting for those companies that show me that they are supporting the earth and supporting other humans with how they produce food. I do believe that's important. I also believe that that is a privilege to be able to spend money in that way, and not all of us are in that place. So if you are not in a place to spend money that way, that is okay. Just choose the food that works for you and your families. But if you are in a place to choose food in that way and to spend your money on those types of companies, I do encourage you to do that, because it does make a difference in the long run. All right, so that is my summary. That's my summary of food. That's my summary of my experience and my journey with food. Like I said, I'll continue to give pictures here and there, just if it helps anyone or gives you inspiration or ideas. Also, in Unlimited, you will always get a recipe every month, and that is truly something that I cook for my family. I mean, from what I've said, it's things that tend to be gluten-free simply because it's how I'm going to make things here at home. It's things that I can make quickly for a family that needs food on the table. It's things that I can make with what I have on hand. And so that will be shared in Unlimited. Again, just from a place of giving you an idea of how to put food in your body to feel your best and feel fueled, because that's what I want. I want you to always be empowered in your choices and in the body that you have here on this earth. So thanks for joining me as always, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for joining me today on Meet Your Body. If you have a moment, please consider rating and reviewing this podcast, as it helps us tremendously. For more resources and workouts, you can visit my website, jessicavallantpilates.com, or find me on YouTube or Instagram at Jessica Vallant Pilates.